Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance's webinar series. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, and today's webinar is presented by members of the Advocacy Initiatives Board with Community Choices in the Champaign-Urbana area. Today's webinar is Be the Leader of Your Healthcare Team. As a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you wish to communicate with the presenters, please utilize your control panel and type in your question, comment, or contribution, and we will read it out loud. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a copy will be available on the Alliance's website for your viewing pleasure 24/7. My name is Christine Beck, and I am the Organizational Director of the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. The Alliance is proud to be an initiative of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities. Who we are. The Alliance is a network of advocates and self-advocacy groups all around Illinois. And the image on the screen is several people, and they represent our board of directors at a time that we were doing a large rally in Bloomington, and there are colorful star-shaped balloons behind them. Our vision is for self-advocates to work together to get the support we need and to live the life we want in the community. Our mission is to speak up for ourselves and each other while working together to make changes in our communities and in Illinois. Our focus is on empowering people to speak up about what they want and need, don't want and don't need, to action plan their goals, to participate in advocacy at the personal, agency, community, and statewide levels. And what we do, we support local groups. We work together on important issues. We offer networking, advocacy, and learning opportunities through our monthly newsletters, our webinars, the Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program, and the Training Institute. And the image on the screen is a person with pink skin and short brown hair wearing a blue long sleeve shirt and black pants, and the person is holding white papers. As I mentioned, the Alliance is a network of advocates and self-advocacy groups all around Illinois, and we currently have 32 member groups representing almost all areas of Illinois. Up north, we have member groups in Zion and McHenry and Dixon. We also have member groups in Chicago and the surrounding areas, including Alsip, Aurora, Brookfield, the city of Chicago, Chicago Heights, Elgin, Hanover Park, Homewood, Mount Prospect, and Rolling Meadows. In the central part of the state, we have member groups in Rock Island, Pontiac, Galesburg, Tremont, Bloomington, Beardstown, Jacksonville, Decatur, and Monticello. And in the southern part of the state, we have member groups in Alton, Edwardsville, Mattoon, Charleston, and Paris. As I like to say, no matter where you live or where you work, there is an Alliance member group near you. So let's get ready to meet the presenters. Our first presenter on the left-hand side of your screen is Toby Wood. Toby joined the Advocacy Initiatives Board because he wanted to make the community better for people with disabilities. And the picture is a person with pink skin, wearing sunglasses, and short brown hair blowing in the wind. In the middle, we have Jen Bowie. Jen says, I think that advocacy can go a long way in improving the lives of people with disabilities and getting our needs met. The picture in the middle is a person with pink skin, light-colored eyes, and dark, straight, chin-length hair parted in the middle, and the person is smiling. On the right-hand side of the screen is Eric Beasley. Eric says, I have ideas for our community. I don't want people to see us differently or treat us differently. And the picture on the left is a person with tan skin, a trimmed beard and mustache, short, dark brown hair, wearing glasses. More presenters include Josh Peters on the left. Josh says, I like to grow relationships with people and want to be able to advocate for people and speak up. The picture on the left is a person with brown skin and short dark hair wearing glasses. And the person is smiling. On the right is Jazz Davis. Jazz recently joined the Advocacy Initiatives Board because he wanted to learn how to speak out in front of an audience and to get more comfortable with it. The picture on the right is a person with brown skin and medium-length dark hair, freckles, and a short goatee. And finally, on the left is Becca Obachowski. Becca is the Executive Director at Community Choices, which is a disability service organization. The picture on the left is a person with pink skin and long brown hair parted on the side. And our final presenter is Hannah Sheets. Hannah is an Associate Director at Community Choices. And the picture is a person with pink skin, light-colored eyes, and short red hair parted on the side. So Becca, I'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you all for joining us today, and thank you so much for the Alliance and you, Christine, for hosting us. We're so happy to be here. So just a quick review of what we're gonna learn today. We're gonna go over the fact that it takes everyone working together for a successful healthcare relationship to form. We're going to go over the tools and supports that can assist you in having a voice in your healthcare appointments, how to create your own individual healthcare guide, and who you can share those helpful tools with.
Why is it important for you to have a voice? Because it's your right.
So we talk a lot about how everybody should have a right to choose where we live, where we work, who we spend time with. We also have a right to make choices about our bodies. And that starts with having a voice in medical appointments and a good relationship with your healthcare professionals. We thought about this idea in the image of a house. So in each room is a different area of your life, like work, home, family, and friends. We talk a lot about having choice where you work, having choice in where you live, and having choice in who you spend your time with. But at the foundation of all of those things, all of those different rooms where you live your life is your body and your health. And so those things and having a voice in your own healthcare is really the foundation of self-determination and being able to make choices for yourself.
For those of us with developmental disabilities, visits to the doctor and other healthcare professionals can be stressful. You don't know how the doctor is going to interact with you. You don't know if they will talk more to your support person or you, if they will explain things in a way that makes sense to you, if they will answer your questions, or if they will listen to your perspective over someone else's. You also don't know if they will follow up with you if you need more information, if they will give clear instructions for getting a test done, and more things that can make you nervous about the visit.
It's frustrating when doctors, nurses, and front desk staff talk about you to someone else, even when you're standing right there.
Sometimes people ask questions quickly and don't give time for people to process the answer.
The people involved in your healthcare appointments are you, the patient, your doctor or nurse, dentist, or other healthcare professional, your support person. A support person can be a parent, paid support staff, or a friend.
For you to be a leader in your healthcare appointments and to have a voice, it's important that that everybody is working together. So unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. Some of you guys who are listening today maybe have had these experiences, but we're going to show you a few examples of when things don't go that well. So we're going to play 3 different examples. In each example, one of the 3 people that's involved in a healthcare interaction might do things that aren't quite what you hope. So be on the lookout for who maybe could have done a better job. Here's our first example.
Yeah, she spelled my name.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think of them messed this up?
Yeah, so obviously somebody didn't do quite as good a job here as they maybe could. What do you guys think?
So this is your opportunity to speak up and speak out for all of our participants out there. So who could have done a better job in this situation? And we'll give you a couple seconds to chime in. All right, so one of our participants said it was glitching and we couldn't hear anything. So if you would just give us a little synopsis of what happened during that scenario, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry about that, guys. So in this interaction, there was 3 people at the appointment. They were there to talk about headaches. Josh was playing our patient, and he started sort of telling the doctor what he'd been experiencing, but the support person, Jazz, in this interaction jumped in front of him and really sort of started telling his version of the story without giving Josh too much of a chance. The doctor, she really tried to talk to Josh, but didn't always have the same opportunity with the way that Jazz kind of popped into the conversation.
All right, so knowing that information, let's hear you speak up and speak out. Who could have done a better job? Was it the self-advocate? Was it the doctor? Or was it the support person? All right, so we want to hear from you. Who could have done a better job in that situation? The doctor, the self-advocate, or the support person? And a lot of times when we have participants on, they're talking amongst themselves in a larger room and coming up with their answer and typing it in. And from KCCDD, which is an agency in Galesburg, they said the support person could have done a better job. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was definitely that was what we were thinking too, that in this situation, the support person really could have let Josh, as the self-advocate, really speak for himself and share with the doctor what his own experience with his health was. And you know, he maybe, if he couldn't remember something at that point, he maybe could ask his support person for a little hand or a little reminder.
All right, are we ready for the next scenario?
Yes, so hopefully things will work a little bit better this time, but I'm happy to give a synopsis afterward if not.
All right, so do you want to introduce this one?
Yes, so in this video, Hannah Sheets with the short red hair, she is going to be playing the doctor. Jazz Davis, who is wearing the plaid shirt and is on the left-hand side of the screen, he is going to be playing our support person again. And Josh, in the gray t-shirt in the center of the screen, he's going to be playing our self-advocate and the patient in this healthcare interaction.
All right, let's go.
So Hannah is just introducing who all the people in the video are, what roles they are playing, and it's going to be focused on the same type of interaction. So they're there to talk about headaches again. So in this interaction, the doctor, she's asking a lot of questions. Josh started to answer as the self-advocate. And Jazz is trying to turn the conversation back towards Josh as the self-advocate, and the doctor she kind of keeps talking to Jazz there in the plaid shirt, and isn't really paying a whole lot of attention to Josh as the patient.
All right, so thank you for that verbal description to go along with the visual of what was happening in that situation. And so here's another opportunity for you to speak up and speak out. So who could have done a better job in this situation? Is it the self-advocate? Is it the doctor? Or is it the support staff? So who has the opportunity to maybe make some changes and do it differently? Who could have done a better job? All right, and I'm sure that people are speaking amongst themselves and coming up with their answers. So again, who could have done a better job this time? Is it the self-advocate? Is it the doctor, or is it the support staff? So go ahead and use your control panel to chime in. And we have folks from KCCDD who are chiming in, and they said the doctor.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was our thought also, that in this situation, and again, I know you guys couldn't hear it, but hopefully doctors should be talking to the patient and really just using that support person as a resource in case they need a little bit more information. And in this interaction, that is not what the doctor did, unfortunately. So she could have done things a little bit differently. Maybe she would next time.
All right. So here is the final video. And Hannah, if you'd like to introduce it.
Sure. So everyone will be having the same roles. So actually, I am on the right of the screen playing the doctor, the person with short red hair. And then Josh is in the middle with the gray shirt playing the patient again, who's coming to the doctor for his headaches. And then Jazz is Josh's support person. Jazz is on the left of the screen in the plaid shirt. So Christine, if you'd like to play it, and then I can do a description as we go.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't think we're having sound, but so I'm just introducing the characters again. And then as the doctor, I introduce myself to Josh and ask him what is happening. And Josh just kind of looks down and doesn't really answer me. He says, I don't know what's going on. And so then the doctor asks if he's having pain, you know, in front of his head, behind his eyes. As you can tell me from Josh shrugging, he's not really providing me a lot of information. And then Jazz steps up as a support person and says, you know, it's okay, Josh, you can tell the doctor what you told me. And Josh continues to kind of look down and not really feel comfortable sharing a lot of information. So who do you think could have done a better job in this situation, in this scenario?
All right, here's another opportunity to speak up and speak out. So who could have done a better job in that situation with seeing the doctor about headaches? Is it the self-advocate? Is it the doctor or the support person? All right, and from Livingston County Advocates in Action, they are located in Pontiac, Illinois. They said the self-advocate could have done a better job. And from KCCDD, The client advisory board, they said Josh. Josh could have done a better job at speaking up and speaking out for himself.
All right, so that's absolutely what we thought as well. So one of the things that our self-advocacy group here at Community Choices, the Advocacy Initiative Board, wanted to do was how can we make these situations better? What can we do to improve relationships between healthcare providers and patients with developmental disabilities? So what we did was we went ahead and came up with 3 goals that we wanted to address as a group. And so those goals are healthcare professionals understand that I have a voice in my healthcare. It's my body. So as you remember, at one point in one of those scenarios, you saw the doctor only talking to the support person. So that goal addresses that. Our second goal is healthcare professionals adjust to how I communicate and respond in a way that I can understand. And then the third goal was healthcare professionals focus on me and use my support person as a resource, not a stand-in for me. And what we did to try to meet those goals was Community Choice had hosted a brainstorming conversation that included members from our Advocacy Initiatives Board and other self-advocates, and then local doctors and nurses as well, to try to help all of us work together to figure out how can we address these issues. And then what came out of that conversation is the guide that you see before you. It's called the Healthcare Professionals Guide to Working with Patients with Developmental Disabilities. It addresses all 3 goals, as you can see on the left side of the guide. And then it talks about what patients can do to meet these goals, what healthcare professionals can do to meet these goals, and then what support people can do to meet these goals. So we're going to go through the guide just a little bit, and we're focusing on the top row that's kind of bolded there. So it's goal number 1. My healthcare professionals understand that I have a role and voice in my healthcare. It's my body.
Here's what patients with disabilities can do to work towards this goal. Make a list of questions ahead of time. Give a list of questions to the nurse when I am just starting my appointment. Bring a medicine or list or pill bottles. Write down symptoms experienced ahead of time.
All right. What can healthcare professionals do to work towards this goal?
Communicate to the patient that they are there for them and encourage the patient to be honest.
Support people can ask the patient beforehand how they should be involved. They can let the patient explain who they are and why they are there. Support people can help the patient prepare for the appointment and can also review with the patient after the appointment.
Okay, so to address goal number 2, which is there in the middle, goal number 2 is healthcare professionals adjust to how I communicate and respond in a way I can understand. So Jen, what can patients do to work towards this goal?
Find a communication style that works for you and practice how it can help at an appointment. Bring communication tools with you. Help healthcare professionals understand why you are using a communication support and how it works.
Healthcare professionals can use pictures to explain things, make notes or record important information, and ask patients they need more time to process concern options. They can also slow down and explain things using the plain language without being visualized.
Support people can help the patient prepare for the appointment, take notes during the appointment, and also review with the patient after the appointment.
Okay, so as you can see, all 3 people have roles to play in working towards these goals. Goal number 3, healthcare professionals focus on me and use my support person as a resource, not a stand-in for me.
Patients can make sure doctors know who they have permission to talk to. They can also let the clinic know that you may need some support during the appointment.
Healthcare professionals can ask the patient who they have permission to talk to. They can also find a way to talk to the patient alone and ask them what they want.
What can support people do to help work towards this goal?
Ask the patient beforehand how they get involved in the appointment. And they can also be patient and explain how they are and why they're here for the appointment.
Okay.
How can this guide be useful? Healthcare professionals can use the guide in trainings, post in patient rooms, give to the front office staff and case managers. Patients with disabilities can share it with their healthcare professionals and support people and other folks with disabilities. Support people can start conversations with people they support and ask them how they like to be supported at the appointments.
Okay, so with everybody working together, the interactions that doctors and patients can have at appointments can be a lot better. So we showed you some examples of when things don't go great. So we wanted to show you an example when people are using the tools, and that some of which we suggest, that things can go a lot better. So just anticipating maybe a little bit of trouble with the sound again, we'll go through and kind of explain what's going on throughout the video. Hannah is on the right-hand side of the screen with the short red hair. She's going to be playing the doctor again. Josh is in the center. In the gray t-shirt, he's going to be playing our self-advocate and patient. And on the left is going to be Jazz, who's playing the support person again.
All right, so as you can see, I'm introducing everyone again. And we start out the appointment, and I ask Josh why he's come to see me as a doctor today. And Josh explains that he's getting headaches, but first he wants to give me something that will help with the appointment. And he says that he wants to take charge of his own healthcare and have a voice in his appointments. So he hands me a copy of the guide, and then as the doctor, I tell him, like, I think I can do these things. And I also offer to type it into his patient notes after the appointment, so that way it will always be there. And then I say, okay, so let's talk about these headaches today. And I ask him where he's having pain, and Josh says in the front of his forehead area. And I ask him if he's having more pain in the mornings, the afternoons, and Josh turns to the support person and says, I can't remember, can you? And Jazz says, well, I think we wrote that down on a list of questions and symptoms that you wanted to give to the doctor. And Josh hands the doctor a piece of paper, and on it is a list of the symptoms he's been having and questions. And so the doctor responds and says, that's great. Like, let's talk about these symptoms first, and then let's get to your questions. And that's our positive example. So as you can see, when people are working together and using some communication tools, then things can go better in an appointment. Everybody can have a voice and a role, and all the information that needs to get shared can be shared.
So now we have this great tool that everyone can use to help improve communication and relationships between people with developmental disabilities and their healthcare providers. Chaz?
The first guide we created is a great general tool that healthcare professionals and others can use, but not everyone needs all of the supports listed on this guide.
So what if we take the guide a step further? What if we create a way where people can create a healthcare guide that is specifically about them?
So the advocacy, the individual, the board, they came up with this idea of creating the individual healthcares that are specific to you as the patient.
So as you can see on our individual healthcare guide, there's a spot for you to write your name on the top right line. So that way it's your personal guide that you can share with whoever you would feel comfortable sharing it with, whether that's healthcare professionals, support people, parents, etc. You can also see on the left side that the individual healthcare guide addresses the same 3 goals that the original general guide does. It addresses that you want healthcare professionals to understand that you have a role and voice in your healthcare, and that you would like healthcare professionals to adjust to how you communicate and respond in a way you can understand. And then third, it addresses that you want healthcare professionals to focus on you and not use your support person as a stand-in for you. Then, if you move more towards the center of the guide, you can see there's a column that says what I can do. And then to the right of that, there's a column that says what my healthcare professionals can do. And then finally, all the way on the right side, there's a column with the heading, what my support person can do. And within all those columns, there are options. So maybe one of the options might be make a list of questions ahead of time. That's something that you can do as the self-advocate to help you have a voice in your healthcare. So if that's something that you feel like you can do, you would check that box. You would go through and check all the things that you feel like you are able to do to work towards these goals. Then you would move to the right and check boxes of things that you want your healthcare professional to do. Maybe some of them apply to you, maybe not all of them apply to you, but you'd only check the ones that you would like your healthcare professional to do for you. And then you would check boxes for what you would like your support person to do. And again, maybe there's some supports you need and some supports you want, but maybe you don't need all of those. And so then you don't check those ones.
How do you create your own individual healthcare guide? First, think of things that you are good at doing on your own at appointments. Then think of things that you need some help with at appointments. There's nothing wrong with needing some help sometimes.
Here are some examples of what people have said they can do on their own and some things they need help with.
Okay, so in this video, we have Jazz, who's on the left-hand side of the screen in the dark blue long sleeve shirt, and we have another self-advocate that we work with, whose name is Audra, sitting on the right-hand side of the screen. She has shoulder-length blonde hair. She's wearing glasses and has pink skin, and is wearing a pink sweatshirt over a black t-shirt. So in this video, Jazz interviewed Audra about things that that she can do really well when she goes to healthcare appointments, things that she feels confident doing on her own, and then also some things that she feels like she could use a little help with, because it's always okay to get a little help with things. So in this video, you can go ahead and play it, and we'll just kind of review a few of the big topics that Audra and Jazz talked about. So Jazz, in this instance, he's asking Audra kind of what her experience with healthcare appointments is and what she feels like she's good at. Audra had taken some notes ahead of time, and she was telling everybody that she's really good at asking the doctor questions and also just talking to the doctor and having a conversation. But she does sometimes need help with making appointments and then taking notes from the appointment, so she remembers kind of later some of the things that they talked about. So those are all things that she might incorporate into her own individual healthcare guide. In this next video, we have Jazz again on the left-hand side of the screen interviewing Eric, who's also one of our presenters. Just to review, he's going to ask some similar questions in this interview about what things Eric feels really confident about in an appointment, and also some of the things that he maybe feels like he might want some help with. So Jazz is going to start off by asking, what are the things that you do at appointments that you feel confident about? Some of the things that Eric mentions is similar to Audra, is that he is good at talking to the doctor and asking questions. He also says that getting a little bit of help with prescriptions and remembering what they are for is something that his support people in his life can help him with.
Also think about what reasonable things your doctor can do to help make appointments go more smoothly. Reasonable things might be asking them to talk to you instead of your support person, or explain things by using pictures.
Once you know what we want to do with our own, we want your support person to help you with you, and what your healthcare professional can do with you. You're ready to fill out those individual healthcare guides?
So this is something that everybody that is part of the webinar, we will share these documents with you. And so this is something that you could take home and fill out with a parent or a family member or a friend that supports you. If you're working with some support staff at an organization, this is something that you could fill out with them. We find that it tends to be a great tool to use as part of a conversation and say, like, these are the things that I can do and are important to me, and these are the things that I hope you can do for me. On the back side of the sheet, there's also some blanks for each one of those goals, because not all of the suggestions that we've listed might be right for you. There might be some things that are very specific to what your needs are, and you can fill those in for yourself. So the sky is the limit. Anything that's going to help you have a better interaction with your doctor and your support staff, for that healthcare interaction to be the strongest that it can be, and so that you can have the best voice. Those are all things that you can add to the individual section of the guide to writing your own ideas.
You can share this guide with your doctors and other healthcare professionals, your parents, or other support people. Your case manager or other support staff.
So to access both the individual guide that you can fill out for yourself, as well as the general guide that you're welcome to share with other people and organizations, family members, doctors, those are all available on the Community Choices website, free for you to download. And there's a link right there that you can go find those.
Does anyone have any questions about either of those guides? Anyone?
All right, so here's an opportunity. If you have any questions, comments, or contributions to make to any of the presenters or about the guides or how to use the guides, please go ahead and type them in using your control panel, and we will read them out loud. Again, any questions, comments, or contributions. So we'll give folks just a couple of minutes to talk amongst themselves and type in their question, comment, or contribution. And so I have a question for all of the presenters. Are you using this guide for yourself in your own health care?
Yes, I created my own individual guide.
All right, thank you, Jen. And for anybody else, are you using the guide for your own healthcare needs?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Yes.
great. Well, I'm glad that you use it all the time, and this brings up one of the questions from the folks up in Galesburg. What if you can't get anybody to listen to you? What do you do then? And that's a great question. What if you can't get anybody to listen?
Oh boy.
What do you guys think? Have you guys had any problems getting people to listen to you?
Well, to me, all the time.
What kind of person are you talking about not listening to you? Like a doctor?
So, a support person or a doctor?
Maybe
Oh.
address.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're going to put it back out to folks in Galesburg. Who are you thinking of? People who wouldn't listen? Is it a support staff who wouldn't listen? Is it a physician or another medical person who wouldn't listen? All right, and they have chimed in saying support staff at home. What if they won't listen? Thank you.
Well, did you have something?
Well,
go ahead.
my suggestion to this problem would be to give them a warning, and then if they're not doing their job, fire or terminate them.
Also, you could probably go for an organization, maybe find somebody else to help you make it. Like I had, before I put mine out, I had Hannah read it over and print it out for me.
Yeah, so some other ideas, I think that those are definitely great options. One of the things that we were really hoping for when we created the guide as a group was that we would give some really usable suggestions and some easy tools that anybody would be able to use. Sometimes just giving people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. If maybe people don't know the best way to support someone or don't know the things that they should ask of their doctor. So hopefully, if you give people a list of do these 3 things, they might be more able to listen to you and give you an opportunity to use your voice on a more individual level. On a more sort of organization or house-wide level, maybe sharing the general guide with some of the people in leadership there and saying, these things are really important to me because my body is mine and I get to make choices about that, and these are the things that might help me do it. They might be able to talk to that staff person and say, I need you to do these things better because the people who live here need to be able to make those decisions and have a voice for this themselves. But I'm sorry that people aren't listening to you. That sounds really frustrating, and I hope that this can help that change.
Well, and the person who asked that question, I got a response that said she smiled and shook her head and appreciates the input. And then we have another question, and this comes from Livingston County Advocates in Action in Pontiac, Illinois. Sometimes my doctor doesn't listen to what I have to say. So what advice do you have there?
So if you create your own healthcare guide for individual and you keep one for yourself and give one to your support person, and when you go to the doctor, give one to them and to explain. And when it says in the doctor's column, tell them what you want and keep it in your file so then next time they can do a better job, and tell them you would appreciate that if they would do that.
I think that's good. I think I would also add that this would be an opportunity to have a little extra support. So when I don't feel like my doctor's listening to me, I usually ask a friend to go to my appointments with me and just be a support person for me and repeat what I'm saying or tell the doctor like, hey, did you hear that? It's always nice when you have somebody that's there kind of backing you up and making sure that the doctor is actually listening to what you're saying. So that can be kind of stressful to do when it's your appointment, right? So if you don't, I would recommend if you don't usually have somebody go to your appointments with you, maybe ask a friend or a support person, someone that you trust to go with you, and that could be their job. Like say, I need you, like the one thing I need you to do for me at this appointment is make sure the doctor hears me. Like make sure that they're listening to me, and can you support me in that? And hopefully that would help with that.
Yeah, and just to kind of to continue to build off of that, I think those are really great ideas. I think that's one thing that if that's an issue you're having with your doctor, that could be one of the things that you include in your individual guide, is that for your support person, maybe what you really need them to do is to be that advocate and just remind that doctor, if they're not listening to you, that there's both of you there in that room to say, hey, you know what? We're not going any farther until you do a better job of talking to this person, until you do a better job of explaining what's going on or what they're saying. And so the idea that the support person is obviously helping you to be a self-advocate, is sometimes in doctor's appointments, we all need someone to be an advocate with us. And hopefully your support person can be that person for you.
Yeah, and maybe after you experience it, maybe several times, you can decide as the patient, it's your choice, and you and your support person can decide whether you want to switch to a different doctor or not.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Do we have any other questions, comments, or considerations? And I think these are great things to talk through and plan through so that we know what to do if somebody isn't listening to us. All right. So I'm going to go to this final slide that has information on how to contact Community Choices.
Thank you all so much for having us. We would love to hear from you if you have more questions. The Advocacy Initiatives Board, all of these guys here, I'm sure they would be happy to answer any other questions if you think of something later, or if you needed any help accessing the guide for yourself.
Thank you.
Great. And on behalf of the Alliance, I really appreciate Eric and Jen and Toby, Jazz, Josh, Hannah, and Becca for sharing your experience and expertise with us today. We are a lot stronger when we are learning together. And from KCCDD, they have a final thought they'd like to share. We would like to say thank you, and we learned a lot. You guys did a great job. I would definitely agree with that. So if you'd like to connect with the Alliance, you can reach us by email at info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. Our website is selfadvocacyalliance.org, or you can find us and like us on Facebook by just looking for Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. And the image on the screen is a person with pink skin and short brown hair. The person is facing away from the camera that did the photograph. The person is raising their right arm up in the air and has the hand in a fist and is wearing a purple shirt with white letters that spell out "Ask Me About the Alliance." So again, remember to keep on speaking up and speaking out. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Bye-bye.